Imagine a world where nobody could lie. Every word spoken, always true. No deception, no manipulation, no fear of being caught. Sounds perfect, right? But here's the problem. That world could never build a civilization because civilization was built on a lie. 200,000 years ago, a tribe is starving. The last piece of meat saved for the children disappears. The chief looks at a young hunter. Did you take it? The hunter knows the truth, but for the first time in human history, his mind does something no animal had ever done. It imagines a world that isn't real. He looks up and says, "No, nothing happens." The tribe believes him, and in that one moment, humanity changed forever. Because the first lie wasn't just a lie. It was proof that the human mind could create a new reality. And that ability to imagine what isn't there is the same ability that built religions, money, nations, and laws. This is the story of the lie that made us human. Something stranger had just happened. The tribe believed him, not because he looked innocent, not because they trusted him, but because the thought that someone could deliberately say something untrue had never crossed their minds. Think about that. Before the first lie, every word was reality. If someone said, "There are wolves beyond the river," everyone believed it. If someone shouted, "I found food," everyone followed. Words weren't opinions, they were facts. Because a world without lies has no reason to doubt. For thousands of generations, that was enough. Humans were few, tribes were small, everyone knew everyone. There was little to hide and even less to gain from deception. Trust wasn't something people earned, it simply existed like the air they breathed. But that morning, something invisible had changed. For the first time, a gap appeared between reality and language. The hunter knew one truth. The tribe believed another, and without realizing it, humanity had crossed a line it could never cross back. From that day on, every conversation carried a question that had never existed before. What if this isn't true? It was a terrifying thought, but hidden inside it was one of the greatest powers the human mind would ever discover. Because once humans realized words could hide reality, they also realized words could create it. The strange part is, the first lie didn't prove humans were becoming dishonest. It proved they were becoming different. Because to tell a lie, you have to do something extraordinary. You have to imagine a reality that doesn't exist. Look around nature. A lion can roar. A wolf can growl. A bird can warn its flock, but none of them can sit down, invent an entirely new version of reality, and convince others to believe it. That young hunter had just done exactly that. His body was still standing beside the fire, but inside his mind, another world had appeared. A world where he never stole the meat. For the first time, a human wasn't reacting to reality. He was creating one, and that changed everything. Because the same mind that could invent a lie could also imagine tomorrow. Tomorrow's hunt, tomorrow's shelter, tomorrow's danger. In that instant, humans weren't just surviving the present, they were living inside the future. The tribe had no idea, but something far greater than deception had been born. Imagination. The ability to picture something before it exists. Without imagination, there would be no plans, no inventions, no stories told around the fire, no dreams of a better life. The first lie was simply the first time humanity discovered that words didn't have to describe reality. They could create it. But every gift comes with a price. Because the moment people realized words could create false realities, another question appeared: how do you know who to believe? And that question would change human history once again. The first lie didn't end when the young hunter said, "It wasn't me." It had only just begun. Days passed, life returned to normal. The tribe hunted, the children played, the fire still burned every night, but something had changed, something no one could see. Slowly, people started looking at each other a little differently, not with fear, with doubt. If one person could hide the truth, who else could? The chief began watching more carefully. Hunters started questioning each other's stories. Simple words were no longer enough. Because once a lie exists, truth must be proven. And without realizing it, humans invented something no other species had ever needed. Trust. Not blind trust. Earned trust. Suddenly, being honest had value. Keeping your promises had value. A good reputation had value. The hunter who always told the truth became someone others wanted beside them during a hunt. The person who lied too often slowly found themselves eating alone. Nature had created deception, but humans created consequences. For the first time, your survival depended on something invisible. Not your strength, not your speed, but whether other people believed you. And that changed everything, because trust spreads. One trusted hunter becomes a trusted leader. One trusted family becomes a stronger tribe. One trusted tribe becomes allies with another. Civilization wasn't built because humans learned how to lie. It was built because humans learned who deserved to be believed. But trust alone still wasn't enough to build the world we live in today. Something even stranger happened next. Humans began believing things that no one could ever see, and those invisible beliefs would eventually eventually reshaped the entire planet, something remarkable happened after humans learned to trust. They stopped surviving as individuals and started surviving as something much bigger. Imagine two tribes meeting for the very first time. Years earlier, they would have fought. Food was limited. Strangers were dangerous. Every unfamiliar face looked like a threat. But now, something had changed. One tribe offered food. The other accepted, not because they knew each other, because they believed the promise. Think about that. A promise. You can't see it, you can't touch it. It has no weight, no shape, no smell. It exists only inside the human mind. Yet people were willing to risk their lives because of it. That had never happened before. And once humans discovered they could believe invisible ideas, the world changed forever. Soon, tribes weren't connected only by blood. They were connected by stories. Stories about who they were. Stories about where they came from. Stories about the rules everyone agreed to follow. None of those stories existed in nature, but they existed inside millions of human minds. And somehow that was enough, because a shared belief is stronger than shared blood. It can unite complete strangers. It can build villages, cities, kingdoms, civilizations. The greatest human invention wasn't fire. It wasn't the wheel. It wasn't even language. It was the ability for thousands, then millions of complete strangers to believe the same invisible story. And every one of those stories began with the same discovery. Words could create realities that only humans could see.